Good afternoon, folks. It's Fred Campos, owner of DFW Website Designers. It is Tuesday, March the 30th, 2021. This is episode number 154 of your 3 business tips at 3 o'clock in and around 3 minutes. So yesterday we talked a lot about content and frequency, and it reminded me that we need to talk a little bit more about goals and calendars and planning. So today we're going to talk about goal planning. We're going to talk about yearly planning, monthly planning, and daily planning. Now, I know we've talked about having business goals back in episode 54, and we went into a little bit more details about the priority of them in episode number 131. But today I want to talk about the specific ways as we get near the end of a month that you should be thinking about your business goals. Solopreneurs, small business owners, you obviously set goals. We did that on January 1st. But how do we segment them and keep everything the main thing? What I do is business tip number 1. Let's talk about yearly goals. On January 1st, I spend about a half a day. I also do the same thing on July 1st. And I write out and update my goals for the entire year. Okay, this is how much money I want to make. This is how many clients I want to have. These are the different elements that are trackable and measurable that I want to do that. But you need to I dedicate 2 half days to work on those goals. And I usually keep them between 7 and 10, not more than that. I have them written out. I put them on a piece of paper that I can look at every day. Then, on the first day of every month and the last day of every month, I spend about an hour and I break down monthly goals. And I segment them into the goals. So let me explain what that means. Let's say I have a goal to add 150 new clients in my web design business. Well, then the monthly goal may be for 14 of those clients. So I determine how many of those per month, and I can determine it on a pure average. I could take 150 and divide it by 12, or I could stair step it. Okay, we're going to do 10 this month, 11 this month, 12 this month, etc., etc. But I know exactly how many that number needs to be per month. And then I segment out my yearly goals into little chunks and break that down. I put that into Slack, which we talked about in episode 24, so that I can see what the goals are and I can write notes underneath them as the days go by, but still keep it in one snapshot of what that looks like. Then finally, business tip number 3 is I break them up into daily goals into my Google Calendar. And everything on my calendar needs to tie back into the monthly goals or to the yearly goals, so that the overwhelming majority of what I do and spend my time on during the business day is reflected into my monthly and to my yearly goals. So that's how I kind of break down from a very high level from the yearly goals into the monthly goals into the daily goals. So let's talk about that in quick review. I spend 2 half days working on my yearly goals, business tip number 1. I spend an hour on the first of the month and the end of the month for business tip number 2, working on my monthly goals. I segment those down based on a subset of the yearly goals. And then business tip number 3, I work on my daily goals that reflect on that. And I do that about 30 minutes the night before the next day. So I'm always updating the goals. With that in mind, I then have a snapshot and idea of how I accomplish things. Now, is there better ways to do it? Sure, I know, and you guys can comment below and let me know. This is how I do it. It is a method that I'm using, and I share this with you so that you guys can be awesome. Now go back to sleep.